This is the LincStation N1, a 6-bay NAS from LincPlus that comes bundled with a 1-year UNRAID license. It takes two 2.5-inch SATA drives and up to 4 NVMe drives. Let's check it out together after the intro. LincPlus was nice enough to send me this unit for the sake of this review. No money was exchanged, but I do get to keep the unit. As always, my opinions are my own and they didn't have any control over the contents of this video. With that out of the way, let's see what's in the box. The star of the show lies directly on top. It kinda looks like some HiFi audio device. At the front there's a flap which hides two 2.5-inch drive bays and the USB-C port. At the back we see an audio output, an HDMI output, two USB ports, a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port and the power input. At the bottom of the unit we see two hatches that hide 4 M2 NVMe slots. Next in the box, we have a license card with a scratch thingy for the UNRAID system on here. LincPlus was smart enough not even to bother creating their own NAS OS, but rather provide a 1-year starter license to UNRAID. There's a bedtime storybook for your children, I guess. A screwdriver and some screws for the 2.5-inch drives. A power brick rated for 12 volt and 60 watts. In my case a European power cord. And a Cat6 Ethernet cable. Let's connect the unit and see what it does. Boot in Linux. There's our IP address. Saves me the trouble looking it up. And there's the UNRAID system. Maybe do a trial first. Need to sign in for that. Oh, you can just click outside of this next screen. This is my very first time looking at UNRAID, so let's see what it's like. It shows us we're dealing with an Intel Celeron N5105 CPU and that we have 16 GB of RAM in our system. Not too shabby. A lot of empty slots for our array. We'll fix that in a minute. It seems we're running off of a 4 GB flash drive. I'm gonna try to see if it can boot anything else, but with just 4 GB you might want to install that on something bigger. No shares without an array, which makes sense. User control, nice. Looks pretty straightforward. Let's add some drives. I'm starting with 2 SSDs of slightly different capacity. Let's see if that'll work. I noticed that you really need to use the provided screws here, because any other screw in my box would stick out a bit, making it impossible to slide the drives in. Alright, the first 2 drive LEDs are burning. UNRAID notices our 2 drives. Let's assign them. Like this, I guess. Oh, you can't even start the array without a license. Alright. Start trial. Start trial failed. Bother to tell me why? Maybe it doesn't like Firefox? Let's try Chromium. Same. Nice. Alright, let's just use that included license. Oh, I'm glad that does work. It would be a short video otherwise. Right, start the array. Unmountable disks. Yeah, they were used before. Format them, please. Oh no, all my data will be... yeah, okay. Started. Array unprotected. Oh. Right. It combined the capacity of both drives. So I guess I should have made one drive a parity drive. My mistake. Let's do new config under tools. The biggest one needs to be the parity drive, for obvious reasons I'd say. Let it sync for a few minutes. Cool, let's create a data share. Let's just stick to the defaults here. Add a user while we're at it. Alright, I can write here. Let's upload something big. Yeah, this PC was reinstalled a few days ago. Let's pick something from my server. Oh, Windows 10 ISO, why not? That's what 1 gig transfer speed looks like. Now upload that one to the link station N1 over 2.5 gigabit. Nice! Forgot to keep it on screen, but the CPU didn't give a crimp, as we Dutch people would say. Let's run an actual speed test. Woohoo! What if we lower the size to 1 gigabyte? Awesome! So yeah, this system is perfectly capable of saturating that 2.5 gigabit port. Let's pull a drive out to simulate a failure. The only visual indication is the fact that the first drive LED has turned dark. No beeping or anything. It shows us perfectly fine. I'm pretty sure it's not. Only after manually clicking the check button, UNRAID noticed there was something wrong. Damn, this is a freaking paid product, guys. What the? Alright, let's put it back in. See what happens. The LED on the unit burns again. Nothing. Maybe click resume? After reading for a while, it tells me that parity is valid. Why is it still disabled then? I won't bother you with everything I tried, but the fix was to take the array down, unassign the drive, start the array again, take it down again, assign the drive and start the array again. So no online fixing of arrays, so it seems. Now that parity is working again, let's take the other drive out. Well, my ISO is still here. Again, I needed to click the check button for UNRAID to notice that the drive had failed. I replaced it with a different drive this time. Take the array down, added the drive. Let's erase that one first. Alright, rebuild in progress. Downloading the file now goes way slower, but at least it's still usable during this time. After the rebuild, I wanted to see if it would grow easily. So I pulled the parity drive out again and replaced it with a bigger SSD. When that was done syncing, I removed the other one for a 240 GB SSD. There we go! Even before the sync is complete, we have a 240 GB array. Nice! Alright, let's add an NVMe drive. This is very easy, but you'll want to turn the machine off for it. Turn it around, open one of the hatches and just slide it in. There is some labeling inconsistency here. I put it in the slot marked 0 and the LED marked M4 lights up. Why are the M2 slots not labeled M1 to M4 as well? The same goes for the SATA base, by the way. Labeled L and R, while the LEDs are marked S1 and S2. But at least those are in the same order. The NVMe drive is found, however no information about the connection. I think it must be PCI Express 3.0 by 1, but I would have liked to confirm this. I was hoping to add it to a Windows VM I had created earlier, but apparently you can't share NVMe drives with VMs. Bummer. I don't want to add it to the array, and I have read online that the unassigned devices plugin is what you need to share a single disk outside of the array. So let's see if we can install that. You can click apps to do so, but we need to install the community applications plugin for that first. Some big fat warnings later, we get a pretty huge list of apps like Docker containers and UNRAID plugins we can install. Neat! Let's install the unassigned devices plugin. I can now mount the drive, although it doesn't like my exFAT partition. You know what, let's just format the thing. Check, that works. A speed test on that one is pretty similar to the SATA drives, as the 2.5 gigabit network connection is our bottleneck here. Let's boot something else on this thing. I plugged in my Ventoy drive and chose EndeavourOS. Because why not? The installer shows me that there's a seemingly unused 115GB eMMC drive available. Looking at the product page, there should indeed be a 128GB ROM, which I guess is this one. So if you don't like UNRAID for whatever reason, you could install whatever on that one. I'm not overriding it, as it could very well be that at least a part of the UNRAID system is on there, and I'm not willing to destroy that yet. So we're going for our NVMe drive. On the installed system, we can see that this drive indeed is reaching PCI Express 3.0 by 1 speeds, so it's not a huge upgrade using NVMe drives instead of SATA in this unit. I did try to use an M2 SATA drive by the way, but that one was not detected by the system at all. So these slots apparently are for NVMe drives only. We even have Wi-Fi and Bluetooth on this unit, so you do have some other option than just to use it as a NAS. It's a full-featured PC. Let's try a game! Super Tux Card at 1080p and graphics level 3 provides some 53 FPS according to the built-in benchmark. Not bad at all for the iGPU of a Celeron. I ran Geekbench on it, and with a single core score of 552 and a multi-core score of 1497, it's not very fast. Quicker than my mom's old PC that I upgraded with an AMD A8 though. The GPU scores of 2975 for Vulkan graphics and 3188 for OpenCL are not that bad however, coming in a lot closer to the N95 and the N100 of the Beelink ME Pro and the AWOW AK10. Back in UNRAID, I finally noticed that I was using an older version, so I updated it to the latest release, but it didn't matter much. The interface looks, feels and functions exactly the same. It did notice a drive failure on its own this time though, although it took a few minutes for it to recognize that a drive was missing. Getting the pool fixed went exactly as before. One other thing of UNRAID I found extremely stupid was the fact that I needed to stop the array to change the host name. Why? I can't say I like UNRAID at this point. Maybe it's just me, I don't know. The LinkStation N1 is okay, I guess. This unit was quite noisy though, but in other reviews I saw that it was a very silent unit, so maybe there's just something with the fan of this one. I couldn't find a way to open it up to check. I did go into the system's BIOS to change the fan start PWM value from 80 to 20, which made it silent enough for me to keep it on my desk. Idling on RAID, the machine uses some 8 watts of power, but jumping to 10 to 13 watts quite often. This was with just the NVMe inserted. Idle on the desktop at EndeavourOS, the idle power draw is much more stable and a tad lower. Again with the NVMe drive only. While running the multi-core part of the Geekbench CPU test, it jumped up to some 20 watts maximum. Not bad at all. The LED strip at the front is configurable to software that's available via a browser on port 50,000. It's in Chinese, but well, we've got Translate for that, right? The software is installed on top of the UNRAID system, so if you choose to install anything else, you might want to back that up. That's about it for today. I hope you liked this video. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time.